You know you're good at what you do, you've got all of the experience and the expertise. When it comes to actually making content, you sit down staring at a blank page or with a camera in front of you and it all just goes blank and you don't know what to say. The problem isn't in trying to invent or create the right messaging. It's actually a compilation of pulling from the right sources to find the resonant messaging which hits the cross point between what makes you unique and differentiates you from every other coach in the world who offers more or less the same thing, and what resonates with the actual prospect, speaks to what's going on in their mind, speaks to their heart, so that it immediately triggers a reaction in them that's like, yeah, this is the person, they understand me, they get me, I want to work with them. In this video, I'm going to break down my 5-step Resonant Messaging Blueprint. It's going to tell you exactly what to say, and it's not something that you need to create or invent, it's something that you pull from what already exists in your experience and in your client's actual spoken words, which I'll tell you how to source. And it's going to give you total clarity on how to make content going forwards, so you're never staring at the blank screen or blankly staring at the camera again. I believe that the reason coaches struggle with messaging is because you suffer from what is called the curse of knowledge. You have years, maybe even decades of experience living, breathing, eating what you do. There's so much that you could talk about, but you're so far away from the people that you actually help. Because the people you help are usually beginner to intermediate people. They're struggling with basic level problems. And every single coach I know can go and talk to another coach for hours upon hours, and they're passionate and it lights them up and they love to have those conversations. But when you try and have that conversation in your marketing with a prospect, it just goes way over their head because they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the experience, they don't understand what you're talking about. And of course, you've heard the gurus, the marketers, they tell you that you need to speak to the customer's pain points, you need to understand your customer, you need to use their language, which is true, but then it feels inauthentic, it feels forced, because there's no you in that, there's no personality. You're just regurgitating what you've learned from your marketing mentor, which sounds like every single other coach. You scroll through a newsfeed, everyone is putting out the same posts, speaking to the same pain points, trying to speak to the same avatar. And then you wonder why it doesn't stand out and why these clients are not attracted to you versus the next person. Of course, when you're in this place, you're either putting marketing out, which is going over people's heads, so it's getting little to no response, and it feels like a grind. You know, you're churning out this content, putting in effort, nobody's listening, and it beats you down. It's hard. It's not a good place for you to be emotionally because you're getting no validation from all this work that you're putting in, not actually generating any business. So often what happens is then people stop. They stop putting content out. It's not working, so then they go off and do something else, try and hustle in the DMs or find a different way of getting clients, and then that's a grind of its own, and then they cycle back through to, okay, let me make some content, but it's not working. Or you're following the framework of the marketing mentor, the guru, you're doing as you're told and you're putting out this bland pain point marketing, which does get people, but it tends to get the lowest common denominator people. So you're putting messaging out which is attracting these low-level clients who don't have money, they're not really bought into you or anything that differentiates you from the next person, so they're price shopping, they want to think about it, they're going to compare you and 3-4 other people and then make a decision, which is not the kind of clientele you want. You want the people that resonate with you. They're like, this is my person, we have the shared values, we have this shared story, I believe what they believe, my worldview matches theirs. There is no way that I would work with somebody else, even if they're more qualified, more experienced. I want to work with this person because this is the person that speaks to me. Here's the reframe. You're trying to create or invent your messaging. You're trying to find the magic words that are going to convert the clients, that are going to resonate with people and bring them towards you so that you're getting all of these inbound leads. But it's the wrong frame to think about it. You're not creating it. All you're doing is pulling what is already there, because the parts that make you unique, your story, your experience, that already lives inside of you. And the part that resonates with the ideal prospects, that already lives inside them. All you need to do is source the two things, put them together in a way that makes sense, where they merge together, and that is how you create your resonant messaging blueprint. Let me break down in detail the 5 steps in the resonant messaging blueprint. Inside my paid programs, this is exactly what we do with all our clients. We run them through a process of gathering all of this information, synthesizing it using our AI frameworks, and then outputting this document, which is their resonant messaging blueprint, which is then the Bible that they reference in every single piece of content, whether it's asset-based content, like a video sales letter or an email sequence, whether it's daily posting, reel scripting, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is. All of the material is just sourced from this blueprint. So you're never sitting there thinking, I don't know what to say today. Stage 1 in the blueprint is your origin story. So this is the part that is uniquely you, and it's where there's that synthesis between you and your ideal client, where they can see themselves in your past journey. And we use what's called the hero's journey framework. The hero's journey is the underlying framework that every great movie, story, novel follows. Whether the author, the scripter knows it or not, this is how you tell a compelling story. Stage 2 is what I call straight from the horse's mouth. This is where we're actually pulling the exact words that your clients and your prospects say to you, and we're then just feeding it back to them. So we're not trying to speak in their language, we're literally speaking in their language because we're pulling it straight from the horse's mouth. And the way to gather this is twofold. The absolute best place to get this from is sales calls. So when you actually get somebody opening up, telling the truth because you're digging and you're asking deeper questions, you're taking them 2-3 layers deep where they don't normally go. That's when the real truth comes out, and that's when it starts to feel like, okay, this person gets me, they're speaking to what I believe in my head. They're saying to me things I've never even voiced to anybody before. We get that from transcribing our sales calls, feeding them into our AI framework, and it will simply pull out all of the actual words, the phrases, and the main points, the main desires, the main pain points, the experiences that people have had that they've tried before that have not worked, pulls it all out into a document in the client's language, not in your language. A lot of coaches tend to speak in more advanced language because they understand a deeper level, that you're experts, but we need to speak in that basic client language, the way that people talk to each other when they don't have expertise. Stage 3 is the burning bullseye. Now this is an intersection of two things. It is the ideal client avatar who has the right pain. So it's not just everyone who's in the marketplace, but it's everyone who's in the marketplace who has this real burning pain that they need to solve now. As an example, if you're a relationship coach, lots of people could benefit from working on their relationship. I would argue probably anybody who's in a relationship. However, the person who's in the most amount of pain and the person who's going to give you thousands of dollars today is the person who just had the talk of, this is not working, I think we need to separate. Or the person who's just been filed divorce papers. That is the person who has that burning pain that is going to pay good money to get out of it right now. So a lot of people make the mistake with avatar. They think it's just a set of demographics. It's a man in their 40s, they earn $100,000 a year, they work in a corporate job and they drive a BMW. Like, that stuff is useful to understand a little bit about who they are. And obviously you do need to be working with the upper end of the market for them to be able to pay the high ticket prices that you want to charge. But that alone isn't going to actually resonate with that person. Nobody walks around being like, I'm a corporate worker who's 45 and I drive a BMW and I'm looking for a relationship coach. You know, people don't act like that. They still speak from the heart, they still have emotions, they still have thoughts running through their head. The difference is, and this is where the messaging really comes from the previous stage, where you're pulling from the actual voice of the customer, is they're not worried about the same things. So for example, they're about to get divorced. Okay, if they're a millionaire, they're going to lose millions of dollars in their divorce. That is a different kind of pain to someone who's broke and getting divorced. And you know, they're still sad they're getting divorced and they're still sad about the end of their relationship, but they're not concerned about the financial aspect. They're not concerned about the fact that their kid goes to a private school that they've worked hard to pay for, and now maybe they're not going to be able to pay for it anymore. And that's going to have this knock-on effect through the next generation, through their kid, through the way that they feel they're doing as a parent. You see the difference, it's not in just listing a set of demographics, but it's actually understanding the situation that they're in, that someone else is not in, and then speaking to that situation. Stage 4 is called the market of one. Now this is where you separate yourself, not just on the resonance level of, I have a shared story, I have an experience that relates to what you've been through. My earlier transformation, my beginning before state was the same place that you're in now, and then where I am now is this outcome goal, the desired end state that you want to get to. But it's also the expertise, the positioning in the marketplace, the differentiation from your competitors. Here we have a unique methodology. This is where the way that you do things is actually essentially diagrammed. It's something that people can imagine. It's a 5-step, it's a pyramid, it's something that feels tangible and real. So I'm not just going to get on a bunch of calls with this person who's going to chat about my day, or it's kind of pointlessly going nowhere. It's not therapy. Right? It's going towards a direction. There is a set process that this person is going to take me through, step 1, step 2, step 3, however it's laid out. But it's a unique methodology which solves the actual pain points and gives the actual outcomes that the person wants. The second part of this is positioning, which is how you speak and arrange yourself in the marketplace. So for example, there are lots of relationship coaches, and there are lots of relationship coaches who say they work with entrepreneurs or high earners, because that's the section of the marketplace that everybody wants to work with, because there's the perception that they pay the most. How are you actually going to differentiate it? Well, if you're the person who works exclusively with men who have just been told their wife wants to separate, you're already differentiated from just a relationship coach that works with corporate or entrepreneur people. You're positioning yourself differently in the marketplace, and when you combine that with your unique frameworks, so it's a category class plus a unique methodology of how you do it, you're now in a marketplace of one, because nobody can compete on that. Nobody else is saying the same thing. They'll be saying similar things, they'll be purporting to solve the same problems, but they're not doing it in the same way. So you now seem unique, which gives you price elasticity, because you can't be compared to someone else. It feels real and tangible, so then you're able to charge more and stand out in the marketplace and appeal to these people, because it feels like, okay, this person really knows what they're doing. They've written the book on it, essentially. Now, stage 5 is building the blueprint. This is simply the compilation of all of the previous stages. So you take your origin story, you take the straight from the horse's mouth, voice of customer, language and research, you take your unique methodology, process, positioning, you put it all together, and then this becomes this blueprint document, and you should be able to get it onto a couple of pages where this is basically everything that you need to say in your messaging. And you can even use AI nowadays to essentially pull from that document and write it for you, or at least write a first draft or ideate the ideas. So, okay, here's what we're going to talk about, here's a hook that we're going to use, and then you can fill in the gaps and make it your own. Don't let ChatGPT write for you, because it's not going to be good, but it can do a lot of the thinking, the solving of the, I'm staring at a blank page, or I'm sat in front of a camera thinking, what the hell am I going to talk about? So let's bring this full circle and wrap the video up. You've now gone from the curse of knowledge, speaking over people's heads, or the inauthentic, saying what you're supposed to as per the marketing mentor. You get clarity on your unique message and the resonance with your ideal prospects. You intertwine the two to create your Resonant Messaging Blueprint. You've now got absolute clarity on what to say. You're past the blank screen, the staring at the camera, not knowing what to say stage. You've got all of this in place, and now you'll start attracting these ideal clients who are a values match, who understand your story and your process and see you as the solution. They're no longer price shopping you, comparing you against 3 or 4 other people, wanting to think about it because they're not sure if this is going to work for them. They've already made that decision because your content is so resonant with them. It's speaking to their mind, what's going on in their head, and to their heart. So that's the system. If you want to make sure that you see the next video in this series on messaging for coaches, then please hit subscribe below. And if you would like the exact frameworks and the AI prompts to run the messaging blueprint yourself and to be able to put all of this stuff in place, produce that document and start putting out much better, more resonant content that actually attracts ideal fit clients towards you, then click the link below in the description. You can go get the frameworks, get the AI prompts and be able to run the system completely on your own.